Last year, I decided to try and take a guess at what would happen in the new MLP Gen 5 movie, A New Generation, and mostly said in the future I would look at the movie whenever it came out. Unfortunately, stuff happened and I didn't really get a chance to look at the review for, well, a good while until now. Fortunately, however, I heard that there was both a new series coming out and a new sequel movie series thing that could give the series a real chance at getting a start up and show where they want to go. So I decided to kind of combine all of them by watching Tell Your Tale, Make Your Mark, and re-watch A New Generation before giving my thoughts on the series. And all I can say, after watching all three of them, is this. Thank you, Hasbro, for delivering such a good sequel series! Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wolf Tales, where storytelling runs wild! Sorry again for being gone so long. If you want to look at what's been going on, please take a look at the update video I posted today. And hey, if you'd like, please also check out the Encanto video I posted at the same time as this one. But for now, let's get back on track. I gotta say, I am actually really impressed by the work that Hasbro has done in this newest generation of MLP thus far. Featuring a wonderful set of 5 characters and a terrific setup for future tales, this new foal of a story is starting out well on its wobbly little legs. However, I have to say that I'm not surprised there's a clear split in the Brony fandom. From what I've seen, while most people from Gen 4 are happy with what they've seen in the first movie, most are starting to get uneasy with Tell Your Tale and Make Your Mark. Heck, quite a few even claim that Gen 5 is an unwatchable mess that should be avoided like the plague. On the other side of it, however, most Gen 5 fans seem to be pretty happy with what they've been presented, and claims all Gen 4 fans, or at least a good bit of Gen 4 fans, aren't giving this series enough of a chance. As for me, well, I'm kind of in the middle. As much as I love Gen 4, and I have to admit Gen 4 quality-wise seems to be better than Gen 5, I do have to admit my decision about it in the beginning was what I knew of Gen 4, and I was hesitant to view it. I had a bias against it in the whole series and felt uneasy to give it a try. Now that I've watched it thus far, as I said, it's not the best work and it didn't blow my mind, but it's not bad either. So today, I am here to share my opinions of Gen 5, looking at as much of the media that's been posted since mid-July of 2022, and what I think of the series thus far and how it can be improved. So for now, sit back, relax as we go back in time to where this all began by examining MLP A New Generation. The first movie of this new generation is not exactly anything special, but it's not poor quality either. I was happy to see my guesses for the series was kind of accurate. The 5 leads were distinct and beautifully characterized. Gen 4 was referenced, but it wasn't shoved down our throats. The 3 tribes had animosity that even now is still getting worked out, and looks like it will be for a while. The villains were more fleshed out and actually seemed like good motivations, though I am wary of Make Your Mark's villain of the Alicorns, I'm not gonna lie. And although we didn't see a lot of the world, there is still a lot of hope for what's to come. We maybe didn't get to see mythics, but you know what? I'll wait and see. I really hope it continues on to expand the world and see where griffins and other creatures went. From a musical and storytelling point of view, I gotta say I'm pretty happy with what we got as well. The songs were lovable and catchy, my favorite is still Fit Right In, and the story played off well for building up the world and showing off our newest cast. Sunny and Izzy are still a wonderful pair that I ship, and the design for the most part of the main cast is pretty well done. From a lore point of view as well, it's interesting to see the expansive magic, the tribe mechanics being explored, and a technological boom across of all of Equestria. There are some issues with it, most from an animation point of view, with the run cycles, and maybe they could have built up more diversity in the tribes a bit more, but for coming right off of Gen 4, I think they made some great hoof steps in the right direction. Heck, even rewatching it recently, my opinions didn't change thus far in the series, and it got me pumped. Overall, I was excited to see where the series was going to branch off to. Until I saw Tell Your Tale. And then I got worried. Tell Your Tale is a YouTube-based series that tells the story of our main cast of ponies after the events from the first movie that leads us into the other installments. Each episode is maybe only about 5 to 6 minutes long, and I will say I was only able to, at the time of this recording, watch up to episode 18, so anything comes after, I cannot comment on. When I first looked at Tell Your Tale, I think like many, I thought it was the equivalent of a pile of moldy food. Rotting, off-putting, and just plain unappealing. The more I have spent time watching it, however, the more I realize it's more like a burnt meal. You can eat it, you just have to get through a lot of charred parts. The animation in this show is mostly what got to me, and I kept thinking I was looking at a show that the ponies would watch on their TV, not a show that I would watch. It was unbalanced, rigid, and leading to most of the run cycles to look weird, wonky, off-putting, take your pick of words. Izzy to me has the best torso and leg design, while Sunny has the best facial design as well as upper body. But the rest of them honestly need a lot of work if the show continues. Story-wise, each episode from what I can tell is wonderfully told with terrific characterization and humor to boot. The stories are simple and you can tell what's going to happen a mile away, but it's not a bad setup. Episode 1 through 10 are generally built up well and go along this way. First one, Pip and Zip move to Maritime Bay. Number 2, the house is getting built up with all 5 trying to live together. 3 is Zip practicing her flight skills. 4 is Izzy trying to fit in. 5 is Pip opening up a salon. 6 is Hitch hosting a tour of the bay. 7 is Hitch trying to deal with having no deputy after Sprout's leave. 8 is Pip trying to learn not to chase trends. 9 is Izzy wanting to celebrate unicorn culture and lore with a day. And finally, 10 is Sunny feeling like everyone is drifting apart and wanting to find a balance between their time and her time because she spent a lot of time living on her own. That last one, by the way, I relate all too well, Sunny. I would go over the other 8 episodes left in the season thus far, but I actually have to switch over to Make Your Mark because, whether intentional or not, the remaining 8 episodes I think happen after the installment. See, episodes 1 through 10 build up, as I said before, Make Your Mark, but then all of a sudden 11 specifically takes place after Make Your Mark by talking about the festival. There isn't an indication of why this is, and if you watch all the episodes without the break, then you're gonna get spoiled for Make Your Mark. So to be fair to both, we'll put a pause on Tell Your Tale with summarizing that it's good to see some development for the series, but it definitely needs a lot of work look-wise. Not story and character, however, I would say. Honestly, my hubby Churgo put it best. When we grow used to Hasbro's more rounded, appealing style of Gen 4, it's really hard to adapt to the more rigid and off-putting style seen in Gen 5. And speaking of off-putting, let's go to the work that flew way too close to the sun, Make Your Mark. Make Your Mark is a 45-minute, not really sure what, series that focuses on the aftermath of a new generation. As much as I wanted to give this the benefit of the doubt, I gotta say I had to dig really deep to find something good about this piece. The 3 tribes are still trying to get along and find their place in the world, with the Earth ponies upset they don't have magic, and distrust amongst all the tribes grows yet again with the Maritime Bay Day Parade. The whole focus is seeing if Sunny and her friends can help unite the ponies to stop disharmony, or if harmony will be shattered once more. You can guess where this is going. Besides major changes to the animation budget and VAs who are swapped out from the first movie to here, they're played okay. They're fine, nothing groundbreaking, though I admittedly like Izzy's old VA in A New Generation to this one. The old one sounded perky and happy, but not squeaky. This one sounds squeaky and a bit too much like Pinkie Pie, or at least trying to mimic Pinkie Pie. Story-wise, it makes sense that they go this route. I mean, the continuity between the first movie and this set does make logical sense, and it does flow well with Tell Your Tale. But it's kind of just expected, story-wise, that it would go this route. It's not groundbreaking like we saw with some of the MLP stories. Overall, the work is fine for a kid's show, specifically a Netflix kids show. However, My list of complaints on this work is pretty easy to point out. First and foremost, this story, while good in its continuity, as I said, kind of plays on an unintentionally bad moral I don't think Hasbro was thinking about. See, the whole lesson to be learned is accepting differences and embracing change and all that good stuff that should be a standard moral in kids' cartoons. However, the problem with this cartoon is that the celebration that was happening was not an Earth Pony celebration bashing the other tribes. It was a celebration to showcase their heritage. It's not saying that they're better than others or saying that all the other tribes should go away. It's just a traditional heritage event that shows what they can do. It pairs well, admittedly, with the fact that the Pegasi and unicorns receive magic and the Earth Ponies are feeling left out, so they're excited for the festival to have fun together. It could have probably been paired well better with having some things from the other tribes being brought in, or it did have a wonderful show and conflict of a unicorn being able to outbeat all the Earth Ponies because of their advantage with magic, which admittedly is my favorite part, but everything else falls flat. The lesson isn't accept differences, embrace them, and try to showcase yourself amongst them. It's melting pot the problems. It's Sunny and the others make the cultural event seem to be about all of Equestria and not the Earth Ponies themselves, and they have to just accept it. While this doesn't seem like a big idea because the ponies and friendship and love and yada yada yada, let me put you this example. Let's say you had a Scottish festival, and this Scottish festival has been going on for a while, and then somebody comes along and says the Scottish festival has to now be all about Europe. Or we have Canada Day being celebrated, has always been celebrated, but then we have to change it to all of North America. I see the intent of what they were going for, and it really wasn't anything they were trying to cause harm with. But it could backfire when kids think it's not okay to celebrate their own cultural events, or that their cultural events should be an amalgamation of a whole continent or a whole massive group. You're allowed to have pride in your culture so long as it's not taking the rights away from other people. And this unintentional issue on culture, while I don't think was meant to be on purpose, I think was just an unfortunate aftermath that resulted in them trying to cram in a bunch of stuff with the whole cut runtime. By making this tale half the time as the first movie, it seemed to just try and spin a far too complicated tale to try and explain all these issues and seem to make it work, but really didn't. From plot points that tangled, to being squished together to make the runtime fit, to character decisions that leave a dent in their development, it really shows that this is just an amalgamation of bad decisions. For example, Sunny, we have known, is always willing to hear out every pony and their opinions and how they feel. But when Zip tries to tell her the entire movie that something's wrong, she seems to deny everything that Zip says and just to tell her to relax. Which doesn't really seem like what Sunny would do from what we've seen. Hitch also gets a major dent by turning from the kind, confident, and strong sheriff to a guy that reminds me too much of Sprout trying to take care of an egg. Just take out the selfishness and the kind of weird obsession with being emperor. As for the story entanglements, we have at least 7 plot hooks in this film from what I counted, and half of them are never really explained that well or given us a satisfying ending with them. Izzy, for instance, wants to make Sunny's lantern and asks Pip to say nothing. You would think Pip would maybe let something slide on her phone, or it would get revealed and lead to an issue in the group that would connect to Hitch, Zip, and Sunny all keeping secrets, but it kind of just is there, and then it never pays off. And the other ones that just seem to pop in and out but are never explained are also not helpful. There's Posy's hatred of the other tribes that's kind of explained with magic but nothing else. The salon appearing to be a big thing that we know in the show, Tell Your Tale What's Up, but it's not clear here what's going on. And Zip trying to decide to be queen or not, that just never plays out well, where she makes a decision, but we only get it in small increments, not as actual development that we would see of her talking with the others about it. It's played out a little bit, but it just appears and then seems to reappear when it's most convenient and not when we need it. I honestly believe if they extended this to the traditional 1.5 hours for a usual kind of kids cartoon movie, it could have been played out naturally, felt better, and would have actually been an interesting story. But instead, we got a very rushed and cramped story that tried to balance on top of rigid animation, strange spontaneous lore, and I'm not gonna lie, the ugliest alicorn I have ever seen. By the Fang. This thing looks like an old pony creator model. Look it up yourself, you'll see what I mean. I mean, sure, it kind of has me brainstorming that maybe this is Sunny's mom, as we never saw her and Argyle never talked about her, but this doesn't even seem to fit with that, and even that's a stretch I wouldn't bet on, but I'll keep it in mind. And don't even get me started on that dragon. That green little abomination that looks like a gargoyle and a dragon kind of went smushed together with a fusion dance. And also, Hitch, knowing animals a lot, you should know to not have touched that baby. If something happens to you, ain't my fault. Overall, Make Your Mark is for sure making a mark in the Brony fandom, being a horrible piece that reminds us of Gen 3, but at the same time, it is the first one. Maybe they can improve upon it, and maybe it can get better, but I'm not holding my breath. However, the good news I get to say is, at the very least, we get to move on to the second half of Tell Your Tale. To summarize it, the second half of Tell Your Tale is overall just as good as the first, though there are some continuity errors lined up. This is mostly seen with these 8 episodes introduce Zip's visor, but Make Your Mark has it in the background. So if this is supposed to go after Make Your Mark, this kind of doesn't make sense. My favorite episode overall, however, is number 18 with the new and improved Equestria games, but I also liked episodes like all of the main cast except for Zip and Pip getting turned into babies, and Sunny basically trying to control her alicorn powers. I will admit I'm not 100% sure why all of these episodes are 5 minutes long, but I could easily see these episodes being turned into the traditional 10 or 22 minute episodes, and I would love to see that happen. At least this sits better in my mouth than Make Your Mark. As of recording this review, this is all that's been presented to us of Gen 5, and despite all my issues of Make Your Mark, I'm still excited to see what's to come. I'm really proud of Hasbro and the strides they've made thus far, and looking at the world from a different point of view. It's never easy to try and make a sequel series after how big Gen 4 came out as, but you know what? I'm happy they're trying. This may not be the pristine show that everyone was expecting, but it does the job of a story. It's a good-natured, simple, fun show that you can put your kids in front of and they'll be happy. And maybe that's all that needs to be for right now. I mean, we all praise Gen 4 like crazy, but most of the love I've seen is for the later generations and songs. If this is what we have for right now and there'll be better things to come in the future, I'm all for it. So, long story short, if you're a Gen 4 fan and you're still on the fence or you haven't given it a try, give it a chance. It is worth at least one watch through. If you're a Gen 5 fan and you love it to bits, I think we can all agree that this show does need some improvement, and there's no bias to that of it needs better work. The animation is still off-putting, and even the writing and VA work could be tweaked just a bit more. But by all of us doing our part and watching the show, giving it attention, making reviews, praising and critiquing it, we will hopefully see it get more attention, and Hasbro will put more attention into it, and thus making bigger and brighter adventures in the future. So for me, I'm just going to be sitting up here in my cave and waiting for the next adventure to come out. Heck, If people want it, I might even release more MLP videos for people to enjoy. I actually have this character breakdown ideas of the development of the elements of harmony into what I'm dubbing the virtues of harmony, but because of how big it would be, I kind of want to make sure this is what people want to see. And who knows, maybe I can start to talk to ponies again. I might even be able to make a friend. I'm gonna get mobbed the second I step out of the forest, aren't I? Well, there's only one way I guess I can find out, and that's like with everyone else, giving it a chance. For now, this has been Silver Starling. See you next time you want to run with the pack.